Hey, give me your logo, Just. I was like, damn. Damn. So we back. Apparently I talked for 10 minutes thinking we were still live, but Facebook flagged me. Judge, you want to tell me why Facebook kicked me off?
Well, we put a disclaimer at the beginning that we don't own any of the music, and I'm guessing because it was the video being played as well that you might have to put that up there as well. They decided to block it via Sony Music Entertainment Group or whatever. I guess that was the reason why. So yeah.
So they kicked me off Facebook, but I was dropping some gems. Just a little bit of educational. I'll do a quick recap, but I want to get into the shoe portion of it. But if you go on the YouTube, and what I did is I put that on my page, you'll see the YouTube video. Good evening, Miss Phyllis. You'll see it on my page. You'll see the YouTube video. YouTube kept it streaming, so you'll see a little bit more detail of what I was explaining. But what I'm going to do is this, okay? I'm going to do a quick share the screen because I believe I'm being told it was cut off Facebook in the middle of the music video, so you guys missed it all. So I want to do this right here.
The actual Facebook video, if you go to like your prior streams, like your prior like lives, it'll stop at the 28 mark, but we were the only people there. Nobody could see it. So it was at the 28 mark where the actual stream ended. Where we got blocked might have been around maybe the 12, might have been the 12 mark.
Okay. Yeah, so check that out. But basically what I was doing was decoding. I really don't feel like saying what you're doing. Decoding a lot of what we saw in the video. Okay, so these are some screen shares of the video. This part right here that we saw in the music video, and again, you can watch the video on your own. This represents Samson after he was his hair, he was deceived by Delilah, and his hair was cut off, which was his strength, and he was judged by the 12. And when you go into that scene of the video, you will see what they were supposed to be were the Philistines at the time, and he was being judged, and you'll see them kind of holding a clipboard. You'll see statues of Moloch or Yakub that was in the background. Now, let me get into Yakub. Well, no, let me not. Let me do this first. Right? In this part of the video, this right here, right? Opening scene. This right here, he was saying he was Eve. Okay, he was Eve playing a little guitar underneath the tree of good and evil. All right, tree of life, and yeah, that was him. That was him, the mother of all. That was him. He was doing that, so he should get his ass kicked for that. Just saying, church folks. You know, you a soldier in the army of the Lord. You sang that for years. It's time to be one. It's time to be one because right now you got the heathens doing the work. Okay, if you look back here, see this little symbol right here. You got a little shout out the Baphomet. Got the Baphomet. Everybody knows who that is. That is a lot of times you'll see him in Hollywood like that. All right, that's a paying homage to Satan or to the satanic cult. But this right here is what I want you to see. This right here, that was supposed to be the serpent. Okay, that is Yakub. Period. Point blank. That's the reason why I have the elongated head. If it was spun around, you'll be able to see it had a third eye on it, right in the middle of the forehead, which is your penile gland. Let me see if it'll give me a better picture of the serpent here that was depicted there. That's the tree of life that we would see. He's Eve. That was the tree of life. This right here that was on the tree of life that you saw in the video. Many of you were able to see this part of the video. This is ancient Hebrew. So many of the right here, there he is, right here. See that? See the third eye? See that? That's your Baphomet. Boom, boom. This right here is Yakub. Period. Point blank. Can't out dispute me because I'm about to show you why. And as the video went on, you saw him get judged as if he was Samson in the Philistines. You saw him die ascending to heaven, and then a stripper pole came down, and he chose to go to hell and ride Satan. Right, that's Satan right there in the anal position. So, for all you people that don't, that's anal position right here. Period. And that is significantly symbolic to Willie Lynch, and we will get back into that in a second because I need to go back and break this down real quick, and I want to just do it fast. Right here. So who's Yaqub? I said that's Yaqub. Yaqub is your biblical. He's Lucifer. He's some people will compare him to your biblical Jacob. Some people will, the bad Jacob. Some people will compare him to John because John was on the island of Patmos when Jesus gave him the revelation. And Yaqub, when he created the race, he was on the island of Patmos as well. So call it coincidence, call it whatever you want. But Elijah Muhammad, the head of the Nation of Islam, who I consider to be the greatest black leader at that time, bar none, in terms of how he was educating and so on and so forth, him and Clarence X at that time. So right here you see a book, Father of the White Race. Now, if people can unwhittle their brains of being racist, because you get a lot of people saying, who's Yaqub? He invented the white race. There was a 600-year period from the time the big-headed scientist, that's what they called him, began creating human avatars, okay, until he got to the one that he wanted to be, which was in opposition to the original creator. There were 600 years. Through that 600 year, it was a breeding experiment. So what he was doing was breeding lighter complected human avatars, or human beings, whatever you want to call them, right? Human avatars, until through 600 years, it progressed all the way until he got to what they call the Caucasian race. Now, that was not derived in the islands of in the caves of Caucasus. That's not how it started. They started on the island of Patmos. Once they left Patmos, they began integrating in a lot of the areas around the Middle East and all that. And what happened was it was causing so much shit, okay? Because this is a new science experiment. And at that time, human beings of all melanin complexions, because if you lived up north, you had less activation due to the exposure of the sun and genetic memory. So you're a little bit more light-skinned or fairer skinned if you were in Ireland or Scotland than say you were in Africa, which is closer to the equator. So that's melanin. We'll get in that another time, right? But these cats came in and they were very beastly, and they lasted 6 months. And then what happened was they ended up getting booted out, and they did a trek along the desert. And there's an old Masonic saying when you were walking in the desert, when you were on your journey through the desert, where you're walking or riding. And they all should say that they were riding. If they're a real Moor or Mason, they should say they were riding. If they were walking, then they were a part of these individuals. They don't know they shit. But what happens is they walked across the hot sands, and because the sands were so hot and they got banished into the mountains, they became on all fours because the bottoms of their feet were burned so bad that they had to start using their hands, and they became hunched over. And they got exiled into the caves of Caucasus, okay, until they inevitably trickled out. So they were not created in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains, period. So let's just stop. You're polluting history. So this is Yaqub, all right? Let's get down to the name of the song. I'm going to do this quick. Montero, the name of the song is Montero. Now, what you always want to do is you want to look up the etymology of a word. The etymology of a word is the study of the origin of the word. Origin is where it originated from. Okay, when you get into etymology or etymology, however people want to pronounce it, then that means you are watching the historical progress of how the definition of this word evolved through each culture, in terms of how it was incorporated to the language. So if you look at it now in the dictionary, you'll see Montero. It'll say hunting hat. And it's very similar to one Elmer Fudd wore, the Russian hat, the Elmer Fudd wore with big fur up here and the flaps go down there and he hunting wabbit and shit. That one. That's what it looks like. And that's very dumbed down. When you go to the ancient origin of the word, it's a ancient cap worn by horsemen or huntsmen. Now, that is key. Okay. So Montero is horseman or huntsman. The horseman, that's your biblical, that's your revelation. That's all the horsemen was coming down. Each seal was open. The horsemen came down. The notable one is the four horsemen. If anybody watched wrestling back in the day, Ric Flair, the four horsemen. Four horsemen is the notable one. That's the pale horse that came with the death, famine, and plagues. Okay, that is the notable one. That is the one that the Lamb of God always discussed. So that is the horseman, and then you have the huntsman. The huntsmen essentially were demonic figures that would hunt little kids. And for people that have done a little research, and you've heard of the Red Shoe Club that were going on by a lot of elites, where they would wear their red shoes and they would go out hunting kids. Okay, which was your it's the same as the movie. What's that movie, Joss? Lady Gaga wore the thing at the Biden's inauguration. What was the movie it was from? Big ass bird on her chest. Holy shit! There's three of them.
Games.
Hunger Games. Hunger Games. That's what it is. So what they would do is they would wear red shoes and they would go on their horses and they would release poor kids in the forest. And this is your English royalty, by the way. That's Prince Harry and his lineage and bloodline. And they go out hunting kids. And that was a sport for them. So they're the huntsmen, and then the horsemen are, your horsemen that were coming down after summoned by the Lamb from heaven. So there's your duality. Okay, that's key. There's your duality. All right. Now let's get, so that's the first part of the name of the song, Montero. Second part, boom, right here. It was called, and this is right from Wiki, so I'm not even doing nothing. The title of the song is Call Me By Your Name. Okay. So when you look this up in regular Google, boom, pops up 2017 film. So that 2017 film predates this video release, of course. Okay. And I'm going to do this real quick. In the summer of 1983, Elio, a 17-year-old Jewish Italian, lives with his parents in northern Italy. Elio's father, a professor of archaeology, invites a 24-year-old graduate student, Oliver, who is also Jewish. So both of the kids are Jewish here, to live with his family over the summer to help with his academic paperwork. Elio, an introspective bibliophile. What a bibliophile is a bookworm. Loves books, loves all type of books, read all the books in the world. Okay, that's a bibliophile. Okay, an introspective bibliophile and talented musician initially thinks he has little in common with Oliver, who appears to be confident and carefree. Elio spends much of his summer reading, playing the piano, hanging out with his childhood friends, Shariah and Mazaria. During a volleyball match, Oliver touches Elio's back as a sign of interest, but Elio brushes off. However, Elio later finds himself jealous upon seeing Oliver pushing up on Shariah. Okay, basically, Elio and Oliver spent more time together, going for long walks, blah, 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 blah. They end up getting together. So what you had here was a Jewish homosexual relationship in this movie. It was very intense. It was very sexual relationship. But the key here, there's two things. Now, mind you, you have to get out of the words all the time and look for what is symbolic or symbolism. You got to start doing that. So when you're reading this automatically, you see he was 17 and he was a grown-ass man, 24. So he's a minor. And he was very much older than that, correct? 7 years, right? So what you have here is pedophilia, period. So if I look at this, again, it's symbolic, what is symbolic, and that tells you symbolism. Stop reading all the shit and then thinking, making evil fantasies and start compromising your mind. Like, oh, 17 ain't that for, because that just makes, you're missing the whole point of everything, how I'm decoding this shit for you, and that would suck. This is pedophilia, period. He's 17, he's a minor. This Joker's 24. Now, what are they both? They are both Jewish kids. This video dropped on the 27th. That was right before Passover. Passover, the major and most prominent Jewish holiday, which is, if you go back to the origins of religion, whatever, God's people and everything, the origins of it all, okay, is Judaism. And this was their major holiday. And he dropped this song going in to Passover in this monumental time in life that we're in. How ironic. Okay. So you have such an iconic video that, as I said, really made shots fired. You saw a young black male riding Satan's lap. That's pretty much Satan saying, I started here in Willie Lynch in 1555 when we started buck breaking masculine black males. And what that was they would take they would take the most prominent and most masculine slaves that were on the plantation. They would bring them out into the backyard, the courtyard. They would call all the slaves in the plant. Everybody had to come. And they would bend them over. They would tie ropes around his wrists, ropes around his ankles, lean him over a little piece of wood, and they would have the mules each walk in a direction and pull the ropes apart so he spread eagle. And the slave master would go in and he would anal rape him in front of the entire plantation. So he would demasculate him. So get the sexual thoughts out of your head, because it was a science of a curriculum called Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch created a curriculum that had different scientific methods of taming or domesticating the slave. Okay. It is nothing more than having livestock, say back in the Cain and Abel days when Abel had, livestock, a sheep. A sheep is a mutation of a goat, right? So a sheep can be domesticated, okay? And it has a shepherd and the shepherd controls them. It is the same science. That is a science That's the same science behind that. So it was a way of how we are going to domesticate the masculinity of these once very, very, very dominant and proud people. The jokers weren't living in huts. You had Mansa Musa in 1300s, was the richest man ever to walk this earth. He had 2,000 fleets of ships. They was over here doing this before. So that's essentially what was going on there. You have the inception of the demasculization of the black male, which happened during Willie Lynch and buck breaking during the slaves. Then they infiltrated the music, they infiltrated the prisons. And then right here was Satan Mark to say, this is where I got you. Not so much to my generation, but the kids. I got the kids. I got their minds on lock. They're going to be okay with this because they're going to see artistry. I won. That was his proclamation. Moving on. There we go, Just. We back on track. After the video, just in case anybody was confused, okay, he decided to drop a pair of Nikes. Okay, the Air Max 97s. As you see here, we're gonna get into that. He has a Bible verse on it. So you're thinking these are the Air Max Satans, I think he called them. I don't correct me if I'm wrong. He's got the 666 on the Air Max. Go on, scroll down.
Are you sharing screen or no?
Yeah, you can't say it. We still here? Can you see it? Where are you still seeing the what you call it?
Video images. The video images.
Okay, where you at now?
Right now it's just us on the screen.
Let me do this. I might have too many windows open. Let me get into the Nikes. Where was that? Nike right here. Go here and share. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that one right there.
Bad. Here we go. My bad, y'all. My bad. They're messing with me because I'm talking about their boy. Right here. See that? It's got the Bible verse on here. So after he dropped the video, if that wasn't enough, my man dropped some shoes, right? 666. And right here, okay, see this part right here where it's usually the air bubble? It's supposed to have a drop of human blood in each sole. I ain't making that up. Go do your research. I'm not making it up. And I'm just going to say the Luke verse real quick, and I'm going to turn it over to you for the shoe part. But Luke 10:18 is a very simple verse. It's referencing when Jesus was discussing pretty much his longevity, how long he's been around, and he says since the word came to life, and he says Luke verse 10:18 says I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. So that is the verse of Luke 10:18. And I'm going to turn it over to the shoe expert. And then I also have the duality to that.
So, MX 97s. Let me open up my dictionary real quick.
Also, here's the funny thing, right? Let me go back to this while you're doing that. This is crazy. I just saw this right now.
I was asking about the 1018 thing because I don't know if it's 10,000, 1,000. It's crazy because the number just looks crazy, but I don't know if they selling those pairs for 1,000 or some shit like that.
Right, and then what you do when you gematria that a Bible verse, you could also include the letters in the name Luke. And then you can also parallel because there's the two Jesuses. But if you look right here, Josh, you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's your 6. You got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's your 6. You got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's your 6. You can go around a little circle right here, and right there. If anybody knows what that is, that's that Masonic symbol. And there's your cross right here. But yeah, you got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's your 6. There's your 6s. Okay. I still like the 95s better, by the way.
Yeah. My go-to was a silver bullet. It was a silver pair, and then they had a gold bullet, a gold pair, just like the same silhouette, but it was all gold.
Right.
So basically, Air Max 97s did release in 1997. First drop of the shoe. Really cool silhouette, really cool colorways. Way cooler than this bullshit they got on screen right here. I believe this shoe is part of a collab with an app called I think it's called Mischief. Go figure.
Is it?
And the app is called Mischief. And I believe they're selling the sneakers for $1,089 a piece. So let me look at this again. No,
Yeah, it is.
$1,018 a piece, and there's only 666 pairs individually numbered. So on the shoes, you're gonna find a pentagram symbol, which, if you know what a pentagram is, you know that's completely Masonic. Right here in the back, in the air bubble, everybody knows. If anybody wears sneakers or into sneakers like that, you know just how weak the Air Max 97 air bubble is, and they have an ink, specialized ink in there, along with a drop of human blood, which is crazy. Just to me, for anything, the silhouette alone, you know, you see on the back, I think it has the Mischief branding in the back, MSCHF has the Mischief branding in the back, let you know it's a collab. Truth be told, I love shoes. People that don't know, I own, if not 100, I had at least one time 100 pairs of shoes. I'm at like 90 something. I didn't give so much stuff away, but I love shoes. I love sneaker culture. I think sneakers are great. I think every shoes tell a different pair. Every pair of sneakers actually tells an intricate story. The colorways expand upon every different story. This right here is not that. This is completely laughing in the face of people. Just in the photo alone, you've got the serpent eyes. So you got the eyes of the snake to let you know that that's what he's representing. I think they called it the evil eyes that will invite you. And what they basically do is it, like, the serpent comes to you as you know, everything's okay, trust me. And a lot of people have kind of fallen for the trap of it's okay. And I'll expand upon this really quickly. What Aaron and myself are doing are just letting you know, if you like the song, if you like the video, more power to you. We ain't here to bash nobody in no generation. We ain't here to bash nobody in no specific group, whatever group you belong to, whatever alphabet group you belong to. Enjoy yourself. I ain't here to argue with you. You part of that 4 to 6% that we won't even get into. This right here is an indictment on the people who went along with this. It is an indictment on the previous generations, and it is an indictment on the parenting style of a lot of people. They called it out for a long time that you guys keep bending the knee. Eventually, we're gonna get here. Here's an artist whose base of his first song was majority children, majority younger kids and stuff like that, preteens and stuff like that. And you want to know the real jewel of that? As disgusting as that video is, it's not age restricted. You know, we can say we want about stuff like WAP. At least they have the common sense to age restrict it, where you couldn't even watch it on certain platforms. They didn't even age restrict the video with everything that was going on in it, which lets you know exactly that it was all deliberate. This is an This is mockery. It's a complete shot fired at you, letting you know, haha, we've done it. It didn't take us that long to do it. Look what we've done. We have it all. And this is what it comes down to when you're soulless. When people are soulless, they make excuses for the things they see. To make excuses for this is something I'm not gonna put up with. So once again, if that's your orientation, that's what you're into, that's what you fuck with, you want to support them, you do what you do, you go in your direction. This right here was a line drawn in the sand of what side are you on. So if you ain't on the side of people that are righteous, that are of the light, that are trying to expose all the evil that is within the industries we take for granted, that we don't think it can ever hurt us. If you're one of those people, go on that side, enjoy being over there. Don't think it, because right here, this is where people like me draw the line. There are people that are going to be easily influenced. There are people that are going to go out and buy the shoe. Of course, a bunch of sheep are going to go buy that shoe. And I think this right here on screen, this is the damage control, right?
This is the damage control. This is the damage control. Brilliant, Nike, but Yeah, this is the damage control. So as Lil Nas X released the Satan Nike Air Max 97s, these are the Jesus ones. Okay. And here you are with the Matthew 14:25, which is to read the verse, Matthew 14. I'll read it from the NIV, might as well. Don't matter. Shortly before, so this is what, let me just help the Christians out here real quick. Let me help church folks out. Shortly before dawn, this is Matthew 14:25. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, and he cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. And then Peter, good old Peter, cutting people's ears off, denying them 3 times before the cock crowed. 3 times. The 333s, they all over that crucifixion. But anyway, Jesus was 33 when he died, wasn't he? Just 333s. Take courage, it is I. And then Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. And Jesus said, come to Peter. And Peter got down out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he got shook, afraid, beginning to sink, and cried out, Lord, save me. And Jesus immediately held out his hand, reached out his hands and caught him. And he said, you are of little faith. And I'm going to stop there. Now, the allegory here, okay, is very simple.
I want to let you know something, big bro.
Go ahead.
So you see the release date on them. These came out 10/08/2019. Right. So they released these. Same company. They did it with a third company. So it was Nike, the Mischief brand, and another company did the collab on these. And more, I like Esquire did like a brief article on it where he talked to the Cho Sneaker of the Year. To sell a sneaker for that amount of money and to have it have anything to do with the Lord, to say there's holy water, to have any verses on it. For all you Bible thumping motherfuckers out there, that's a slap in the face. So all you Bible thumping people out there who thump your Bible and talk about being God fearing and all that shit, this shit right here is the same thing.
So these, hold on. Right? Watch this. So these, too old to be doing all this flipping back and forth shit. Right? So if you go to the top of these, look, Just, they give you a little whatever you call that. See this right here, the star?
The pentagram, yeah.
Pentagram, right? See the pentagram, right? Everybody knows what that is, right? Baphomet, Lucifer, whatever you want to call it. So they give you the pentagram on the Satan's kicks, right? So let me just stop that. Okay. So you got the pentagram if you want those. And if you want these, bam, I ain't gonna lie, the Jesus is all right though. I can rock that in the summer. If you get these, you get the good old crucifix with the graven image on it, because you're not supposed to have the crucifix with graven image, and told you that both books. But some of y'all still keep it in your house with him hanging on a cross. It's beyond me. But here you go, right here. So you get that. You get the crucifix. So there's your duality in that. So you have the duality in that. You have the duality in the name of the song, which is the huntsman, and when you go into the etymology of the word Montero, you have horseman and huntsman. That's essentially the origin of it. Now, you want to dumb it down to Webster's 2021. Look how dumb y'all asses are now. You really want to use a dictionary from now or back then. So you could dumb it down to that, but that's the origin of horseman, huntsman. So that's your duality there. And we can go back to the other half of the name of the song, which is Call Me By Your Name, which when you Google that, go right to Google, it'll come up a movie from 2007. Click on the wiki link of it and read the plot. Don't go through all of the beginning. Read the plot. The plot is a 17-year-old Jewish boy who has a 24-year-old Jewish boy come reside with them for the summer, and they end up, getting together. And there's two symbolic things there. I always say there's always symbolism, and then you take out and your perception what is symbolic to it, and that is where you get your symbolism. So the symbolism there is pedophilia. You have a 17-year-old minor. Now, where you begin to compromise your mind is you're going to say, well, it's only 17 and blah, blah. you're thinking too much. It is a minor and a 24-year-old. That is pedophilia. Period. Stop looking at the numbers. You're looking to see what it is that they're trying to brand as their symbolism, and that is it. So you have the symbolic pedophilia, which we've been telling y'all all this time. Y'all just don't believe in it for some reason because y'all dumb. You know what I mean? So you have that, and then you have two Jewish boys that were in this relationship. There's nothing wrong. I'm not getting into that if it's right or wrong, but I'm saying in terms of the satanic release of it, it came out right on Passover, the most important Jewish holiday of the year. It came out on Passover. You understand what I'm saying? It came out on Passover. This is when we're talking about it. Passover right now. Passover is really 7 days. So Passover is really should have been from Saturday. It's going to be till this Saturday coming up. That's how long the observance and the fasting and all that is. So it came out on Passover as a complete mockery to the Torah and to people that follow Judaism, which is the oldest and most ancient of the religions of this age that we're in right now. So it was a complete mockery to it. You had two Jewish males embarking on a homosexual relationship, and it was, and even in there, when you read the plot, you're going to see it's very explicit. You'll see anal sex, this and that. So it was very explicit. So it was a complete mockery of that. So after that breaking down, don't come to me and tell me it was because, you know, people were thinking that, you know, this was him rebelling, saying that, you know, he doesn't want to be judged for being, wasn't nobody judging his ass. He won Grammys and sang on stage with Billy Ray Cyrus' ass, who sold his damn daughter to the cult. Like, so there wasn't nobody judging Lil Nas. Lil Nas was everywhere. He on Nickelodeon Awards. Who's judging him? Nobody's talking about him. So this was his art for him to say, no. Nope, it's bullshit. It's exactly what I just showed you. It's exactly. Decoded the title, decoded the name, decoded the video. They even gave you Yakub in the video, which is crazy. Did that picture come up when I shared him?
Yeah. Yakub
so even put Yakub in the video, and you know, that's just what it is. I don't know what to say to people that don't get it yet. Go or plan on going to church Easter Sunday. You know, I don't know what to say to people that compromise their minds and say, "Oh, this is them just expressing." Then your mind has already been compromised, and you're wearing the mark of that beast in a sense. You are. The devil never, you know, the serpent never came in and was violent and came in and shooting fire and all that. He was deceitful. And what he did with Eve was had a conversation, and he made evil, which was the betrayal of God, he made it fair seeming. He made it okay, and it gave it a compromised understanding of eating the fruit. That, well, that makes sense. I can roll with that. And such is the rest of the book of the goddamn Bible, just off of that one compromise of the mindset. So when you start doing that, that's all you're doing. You're doing this thing, you're eating from the apple. And, you know, that's where we're at. And it takes all this time to sit here and decode a name, decode the first name, go back to the origins of it, pull out Bible verses, tell you what that means. I was talking about the Matthew 4:25 when it said Jesus began walking on water right before dawn. That's the key word of that verse. Right before dawn, Jesus went out and he walked on the water. That is allegory. Jesus is considered the son of man, right? And the son of God, you know, whatever book you're reading from. And the walking on the water is symbolic of the sun as it rises in the horizon. That's why he said it when he went out right before dawn. That's the rising of the sun. And he came up as the sun comes up over a lake or an ocean. Then what you'll see is the reflection hit the top of the water all the way to the sun. So you'll be able to see that. And that is the sun walking on the water. That is the allegory of Jesus walking on the water. So there was no actual moment where he walked on water and Peter came out and walked on water too and got shook because it got windy. I'm sorry I hate to break it to you. That is absolutely the allegory. And I mean, I already have debated some pastors, but if they won't come on here and do it, then we can. But undefeated is undefeated. Ask Floyd Mayweather. So I had to go there. But you know what I mean? So that's just what it is. And it doesn't debunk your complete Bible. Period. That doesn't. I'm talking about one. I already told you there are two Jesus in the Bible. There was one that said he has come for the lost tribe of Israel, and he said, "Are you the Son of God?" And his response was, "Ye all are sons of God." There was another one when Peter said, You are the Son of Man, you are God incarnated. And he said, flesh and blood did not reveal that to you. There's two of them, I promise you. There's ones that gave you parables, the Good Samaritan. Okay, it was always a interpretation of Judean law or from the Tumad or the original text of the Torah. Okay, and Judaism, it was always a context of the commandments that the rabbis were delivering wrong in order to control the people with tithing and taxes and things of that nature. So what he came and he said, like, I didn't came to change the word or to change the law, but what he did was came to reform people's thinking of it so they weren't so enslaved. And that's why the rabbis didn't like him. So that was the one Jesus. He was a teacher. He taught in parables. He used nature. He would tell stories. Mary Magdalene, he was not sin cast the first stone. He delivers messages like that. You had another Jesus that all he did was miracles. He walked out. It was theater. Ironically, it was theater. He would have Lazarus walk out. Okay, Lazarus came out like with the mummy. Okay, he had a person that was conveniently placed, and he gave made him see again. Okay, so you had one Jesus that was strictly the miracles, and that was the one created by the Romans in order to bring forth a New Testament, or a new doctrine of religion, because they were using religion to control at the time, whether it was Islam or Judaism or Hinduism at the time. So that's what it was. And the Romans wanted their own doctrine. And so that's when Emperor Constantine did the Council of Nicaea. And you can look that up. I didn't make it up. That's when they wrote it, and you got the fake Jesus. But there was Jesus. So ain't nobody talking about Jesus. But I will tell you this. Even in your New Testament, if I'm lying, I'm flying. People get mad. There's always so much segregation between, the Jews and the Muslims and the Christians, because the Christians believe Jesus was the Son of God. The whole movie, that was the Lord. That was the Word made flesh, right? And the Jews and the Muslims will tell you that he was a teacher. He was a rabbi. He was a prophet, whatever, depending on who you ask. They're right. You're wrong. Because when you study your Christian text and when you get in theology, you will learn that Jesus did not inherit the right hand of God until he conquered the cross, till he conquered death, period. He was not the Christ, which means crown, which means king, which means he did not inherit the right hand of God until he conquered the cross. Correct? Correct. Now, after that, name me a book in the Bible that delivers teachings after he conquered the cross. There is none. All of his teachings were prior to the cross, which makes him a rabbi. He did not conquer the cross in any book of the education that he was given. The cross is always the conclusion. The only time that you saw Jesus after the cross was the book of Revelations, when he visited John on the island of Patmos, when John was in exile, and he gave him the revelations, which some would argue he was in spirit. Okay, so let's shut that down. He was absolutely a teacher. He was absolutely a rabbi, and he was absolutely prophetic during that time. Did he earn the right hand of God in terms of any of his teachings that you make him regal from the beginning he hits the scene? He absolutely did not, because he had to conquer the cross first. So boom, that's it. That's it. Stop. And learn how to be able to blend perspectives from the Muslim brother and from the Jewish brother and from the Christian brother. When you do that, you open your mind and you can able to blend and see everything that was going on in the ancient cultures and how one thing connects to another. But when you're making your guy, well, my guy's the only one that conquered death. Oh, really? What teaching did he give after he conquered death? None, because all of the teachings in the New Testament are prior to death, period. Okay? That's in the discussion on that. Just, I can go miles and miles and miles. I'm going to turn the mic back to you. But because this little Nas X shit was very disturbing to me, and it was very much on a spiritual level. And that's really just how I wanted to attack it tonight. You know what I mean? I just really wanted to kind of come out of the element, come out of the random Q&As and just really get into what was going down, some of the ways people can look up things and get the real origin of words, and then they can really see what's going on. And I think this was very much an easy example to do it, as opposed to the more difficult ones you and I have had in the past.
Definitely. I think you did great with the breakdown. I know it's something you was working on. We had been basically like looking at how to attack something like that agenda, and got a gift on Passover. Like, yep. This right here, like I tell people, what we do is decode, and we go through things that have meaning. We take nothing at face value, and that is because you have to be able to think. When your thoughts are not constricted, your thoughts are your own. When your thoughts are constricted, your thoughts are not your own, because when your thoughts are constricted, you go by what somebody else taught you. Somebody else within the school system, within how they told you to take care of your body. There's about the most obese generation of people ever, because they're learning from people who've never been in shape. It's all these different things. If you think it'll never happen, it can't be that bad. What's the big deal? Fine. Enjoy yourself over there. Be on that side of it. Understand, this was a direct shot to people. It was a direct shot to people's faith. It was a direct shot to some people. And unfortunately, we talk about it being a spiritual war. This is very much a spiritual war for people like myself and Aaron. Everywhere you go, they are trying to take your soul. If you don't understand what that means, they are trying to compromise you spiritually. They're trying to compromise you morally. Are you willing?
I'll answer that, Sharon. 1 second, as soon as Justin's done.
They're trying to compromise you by putting all this out there. And every time you see a person like this in this video, where they submit themselves for money, for fame, or whatever it is, that is a knock, letting you know that morally, if you can be compromised, that's the end result for you. So I won't stick too much on it. Like I said, a lot of this stuff needed to be said. We needed to go into this build for important reasons, not to just us personally, but to many people who have an expectation of us to be able to spotlight things that they may not be able to say, they may not be able to do. There are people that know something looks evil, but they don't know how to decode. They don't know what we use. The last thing I'll do is I'll break down a little bit of gematria. I'm not going to go into detail how to use it exactly, but I'll talk about what some of these things in gematria are. So call me by your name in gematria goes to 1287, and 1287 can be translated to tree of knowledge, which is one of the first things you see in the video. You see a depiction of the tree of knowledge with him playing the part of Eve. 1287 also translates to you are the Illuminati. So it says, call me by your name. 1287, you are the Illuminati. These are things that are put out there. Like I said, if you think we're just, crazy people just making this up, you can do it yourself. You can look this up yourself. You got no reason to make this stuff up. You're just trying to make knowledge born. That's all we're trying to do. Now, there is a line in the final, I want to say within the final few parts of the hook. It's call me, they say, call me by your name. At the final line, before it says it again, it says, call me out by your name, which in gematria translates to 1637. And that is life upon the wicked stage, which should be, I don't even know how at that point, like that's spelling it out for you.
I just think you say it, yeah.
You don't really, you still guessing at this point. I don't know what to tell you, but life upon the wicked stage, which is basically what he is expressing. All the stuff that he gets to do, all the stuff that he's doing, from the satanic shoe to the performing at the Grammys, to the pink outfits, to the dressing like a female,
the lap dance on
the lap dance, I say, and that is the life upon that stage. And that's why they tell you the industry is controlled by people who are of a specific energy. They're controlled by satanic, Masonic, occultists, yeah.
And people need to stop saying the record producers are like blaming it on the Jewish population. They're like, you know how everybody say fake news? They are fake Jews. That's what they are.
Yep.
They are. But the origin of it is when they came about. You had a group of people. You know, the illuminated ones, and you have to. If you want to establish your place in society and higher society, you had to adopt the religion at that time, and it was either At that time, it was Judaism, Hindu, and Islam. Maybe Buddha, but I don't think so. I think those were the three, and they chose to align themselves with Judaism because they had more leverage there. Now, what was the leverage there? You had always had a savior, so you can always create a savior at any point. If you were creating your own doctrine, then you can create a savior for the people. You know, and that's essentially why they chose Judaism. But they are the evil Jew. The Bible tells you the synagogue of Satan. That's what the Bible tells you that in Revelations, book chapter 2, the synagogue of Satan. So right there, you know, Satan got a synagogue. So if he has who goes in the synagogue? Jews. So it was the evil Jew. That's it. So when people want to blame the record industry and this and that and saying this is all Jewish controlled, then you got to ask yourself which ones are they? Because there's good and bad ones. Which Christians are there? Because there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. Okay, you know what I mean, and so don't like stop always pointing the finger. Be ready to blame it on a race or a religion or this and that, and just realize it comes down to good and bad and people, and that's your problem. That's go ahead, Just.
The last decode I'll give people with 1637 is all eyes will see him, and what's the view count on that video?
What was it 14 mil or something? What was it? I'm crazy.
If you count on the video, all eyes will see him. You can see everywhere you see things like this. You can see the presence of the demonic satanic forces. All eyes will see him is a very easy decode for you to know that this is no longer about people making music videos. You know, before I move on, I'll let you guys know if this is something that any of y'all are interested. I can't say that we can make a thing out of this every week. But y'all want us to go through decodes of specific music videos and song lyrics.
Or the Bible.
Even the Bible. Yeah, leave that Bible shit alone. Leaving that Bible shit alone. When you do the etymology and all that on the Bible, you're gonna make some enemies. That's all I say. But we can't do it all the time. But if you're interested and you think that it's important that we expand upon what some of these videos, some of these sayings, some of these things are saying, then yeah, we can go into that. And we can, in turn, begin to explain to other people how to start looking for certain things, much like we did last week where we expanded upon with false flags and shootings and how the numbers won't add up and stuff like that. It's important that we get the information out. Whatever you choose to do with it after that is up to you. But it's important that you guys hear that we at least get it out there. You don't got to hear it. You can see it, scroll past it, click off of it. It's not a big deal to me or Aaron, but we just put it out there so people can know and to arm yourself with as much knowledge as possible to make the best informed decisions for you. We won't get into it this time, but eventually we'll break down what these calendar events really are like, all these calendar holidays. We'll break down that at some point. But that's up to you to say you want to do that. You want to see exactly where your time and energy is going to. When you're going out there on Christmas shopping, you out there on Black Friday, and what are you presenting when you cook that turkey and you present it on things? There's a lot of stuff that can be expanded upon, but like I said, that's up to y'all. But I'm gonna throw it back to basically pass it over to Aaron and let him finish off the eulogy of
the eulogy, right? So I'm gonna touch on Sharon asked a tough question, and half of me is reluctant to talk to her offline about it. I'm reluctant to talk about it now. I'd rather talk about it offline just because of the season that we're in. But then again, that wouldn't be AA round now, would it? So let's get to it. She asked me, why did he have to die on the cross? And my rebuttal to that would be to somebody, what is the cross? What are the origins of the cross and what it meant? And the symbolic religious etymology of it. Right? We just talked about that. You got to go to the origins of where things started and how it created. So, and my drawing is bad, but what you have here, okay, what you'll see up here is this round one, okay. I should actually probably pull it up on Google and just stop sitting here and make it seem like my ass can draw, because that's some bullshit. But hold on, boom, images right here. Okay, so I'm going to show you the origin of the cross and where it came from. And I'll do that real quick. Boom. Let's do that. Share. This is it. This is it right here. The ancient African Ankh. This is the oldest living. You can see, and look, I am not just pulling it. This isn't Jacob the jeweler or nothing like this. These are all on Sumerian tablets. These are on the walls of ancient Egypt. This predates Abraham and everybody. So this is what it is. Now, what this, you can see this, right, Jess? Just make sure I'm sharing it.
Yes.
Right. Yes, you can. Okay. So, and let me explain what this is. This right here, the top of it is the womb. Okay. And the womb, as you know, is the giver of life. Okay. It brings forth life on this earth, on this planet. It is the vessel in which, light or energy comes down, connects, and breaks forth, and places you in your human avatar. Okay. This right here is I'm going up and down like this is making this perverted sound. This would be your penis. Okay. This is, so right here you have the reproductive system. This is your womb. This is a male's penis, and this right here would represent the fallopian tube. Some will say it'll represent life, but this is all life. Right here is everything that you need for life. Okay. It is dominated by divine feminine, which is your women, which is why this is ready. Y'all ready for this? This is why this is the womb of man. There's a man's thing right here. And this is the womb, and this is the fallopian tubes, and which carries the egg. And so right here is your reproductive system. Okay. In terms of everything. And that is why it was essentially worshipped, or not worshipped, honored as symbolic then, because within it is the giving of life. Okay. And it is the truth, and is the origin of it. And last time I checked, that's what God was. He was the way, the truth. He was the life. Am I right? And then what we say, God's the way, he's the truth, and he's the life. And that is essentially what was always represented here. If you look at this symbolic right here, you'll have the pineal gland. That is your third eye. Okay. But this is the origins of the cross in terms of religion. And what the Romans did was they created a regular cross. I'm going to my picture because I don't feel like doing it again. Which look like this. Okay. Long down here. Where am I at? Long down here, long sideways. So what you have is double masculinity, or double, like whatever. Two penises. That's what it is. I don't know how to say make it sound right, but that's what it is. It's a double masculinity, meaning masculine is dominating the world. Your obulus. Everybody knows what the Washington obulus, the Washington Monument, big ass thing that just sitting up like there. That's what that is. It is a symbolic, Masonic, representation of the male organ. Okay. You'll see a lot of Masons wearing an apron over their part. Some of the Scottish Rite, that part that came over and really polluted more science and origins of Black Masonry or ancient African, the King Solomon's, I'll say, teaching, is representing that too. That's why it's in that region. There's one at the Vatican, there is one in DC, and there is one in London. And that is your really your hubs in terms of you always hear me say you live in a Masonic society and this and that. You have Washington, which is really your military, United States military. You have your Vatican, which is the religion, your bank, your tidings, and that's where all the money and the gold was held. And then you have your government, your regal government, whatever, and that was England. So that is where the symbolism came from in terms of the cross. Now, in terms of the story of the Jesus, as I said, Jesus did exist. There were two in the Bible. You have to be able to distinguish the 31 that died when he was 33 on a mountaintop. Okay. That's the Illuminati. And prior to his death, he did something called the Last Supper, where he ate flesh and drank blood, which is a satanic ritual, period, point blank. I don't know. It's cannibalism. It's satanic ritual. So that essentially was not the original Jesus. The original Jesus died somewhere in the Germania, Turkish area, because he was hiding, because he found out that, they knew that the Romans were looking for him. You can go to the original Christian African Bible, and it gives you that story. You can go to the Dead Sea Scrolls. It gives you that story of where he exiled to, and inevitably he was executed by a Roman soldier. And I'll find the story one day and I'll post it. So there was the teacher, there was the savior of the life, in terms of awakening the minds, because that's what he was doing. But it did not happen on a mountaintop when he was 33 and died, stretched out on a cross and hit with a spear in the side, which is the Islamic crescent moon that's on Masonic thing. And he wasn't in the tomb and then arose 3 days later. You know what I mean? And he wasn't in the tomb for 9 hours, which is your 333. So, you have to kind of look at it like that. But, when I say this, people get mad because, it's blasphemy. It's not blasphemy. I'm not saying the guy wasn't alive. I'm just saying his death was different than what it was that they taught you under the Roman King James Bible. I'm sorry, but that's just what it was. There is something that predates that is the origin of Christianity, and it tells you the real depiction of that, and you should probably go there and read that. And the funny thing about it is, any true theologians and any true pastoral experts or scholars know this. So at that point, you need to realize what brotherhood they're a part of and what they're allegiance to, because that's just the truth, what I just told you. I can pull out the text. She said, I purposely asked the questions you say that. When a Christian asks you, why did Jesus die on the cross? They are not asking you literally. He died on the cross so that the blood of Jesus Christ can wash away your sins. My response to that is, if my sins are washed away when he died on the cross, then why is there a judgment at the end of time? If he died on the cross for my sins, then why am I being judged? Why is there a judgment? Why is there a judgment? No. Why is there a judgment? That's my rebuttal back. If he died on the cross for my sins and I accept him as my Lord and Savior, then why is there a judgment at the end of time, judging everybody for their deeds? That makes absolutely no sense. That is the Roman Jesus saying that. That's fake news. That's fake news. Period. And there's judgment. There's judgment. He did so. When you say when you start talking blood, you're talking satanic. When you start talking light and life and divine within, now you're getting into your Christianity. You're getting into your crown chakra, which is, it's crown for a reason. Christ is crown. Christ means king, means regal. However you look at it, that's the purple. It's your purple chakra. It's your crown. What did Jesus have? A crown of thorns. So that is your crown chakra. Now, people look at it as like this and all these lights and all that, and it's not that. It's just Jesus told you what it was. He said the greater. This is what cracks me up because they don't even follow their own text. The greater he that is in thee. Thee mean your ass. That's what thee means. Means your ass. Greater he that is in thee than he that is in the world. So if you look at it in terms of what he's saying, he that is in the world, you would see outwardly. And that's why people idol worship Obama. They idol worship the Beyoncés. You idol worship everything. You don't close your eyes every once in a while. Meditate on yourself, inventory yourself, and find out who you are in here. Because he told you, greater is he that is in thee. Even when he left, he said he would be with you in form of the Holy Ghost, which was in here. So if he's in here in the Holy Ghost and he gave you a command that the greater he that is indeed in the world, why is everybody so outwardly look when he in here? He's in there. He told you. He told you. I don't have to decode that. You read that in Sunday school. So you know what I mean? It's everything is in that duality, just like the Nikes. You got the Jesus brand, you got the Satan brand. Everything is duality, and you have to be able to see the good from the bad. That's what happened with the tree of life. You would be able to know good from bad. That's what happened when they ate the apple. And that's all you're seeing right now. And you know how you get that is given to you all through the Bible. I don't care how much they perverted it through King James. I don't care how much the Romans chopped up the Bible. If he's in there, he's in there. And he's in there. And the command is greater he that is in thee than he that is in the world. And that means you have to go inside. and stop looking out. The world outside. This is the world. That's the world. That's the wall's the world. That tree out there is the world. That's me looking outward. In order to find the greater he in thee, which is the Christ that you're looking for, you got to look inward. You got to look however you meditate, however you want to meditate. And that's just, that's just what it is. And it's not as it's much more advanced once you start awakening and unlocking your minds and you get an understanding from it and you realize that you're not dogging religion, you're not being blasphemous, you just have a different perspective of it. You can read any passages in the Bible and have a revelation and say, you know what, I interpret it like this, and this is what this means to me, and it makes sense because I can feel the power of the Holy Ghost. I can feel my spirit illuminated by it. Okay, and that is a revelation from you, downloaded to you and given to you, from the light, from God, from the Lord, and that's just what it is. And so many people are idol worship. You like shit. You layer so many people's pockets with your money just to get a good message on Sunday when you can get it yourself. Going inside here, reading the word, and going inside here and interpreting it for yourself. And stop being selfish to say, does this mean I'm going to find love? Does this mean I'm going to get my shit together? Does this mean I can finally make it out? Like, when you start doing it selflessly and just say, I just want shit to be positive. I want all these evil acts. I just want things. I don't want to walk around anxious all the time and nervous. Like, I just want to know what's going on. And when you start looking inside and reflecting, then you'll find your Jesus. Because you've been here the whole time. He told you never leave you, forsake you. And he told you the greater he is in thee. So right there, he inside you. You just got to find him. And that's your Christ consciousness, and that's your crown chakra, and that is your purple, and that is your crown of thorns, and that's who he is, and that's where he ascended. He ascended into you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Ye are all sons of God. That's the answer to everybody's question. So if you want to slay him on a Masonic cross with the three betrayals, Peter's going to betray him 3 times before the cock crows, the sun comes up, and Peter betrayed him 3 times. That's your 3. Like, how many pieces of silver did Judas get? That's the 3. There was only 3 people there at the. Where were the rest of the disciples? They went somewhere. They were sleeping. It was just Peter, Jesus, and Judas. That was the 3 that was there when he got arrested by the guards before he got in. And there were 2 of them betrayed him, and there was 3. So just 3. It's coded everywhere. It's coded everywhere. In the tomb for 3 days. Like, get away from that guy and get back into the one that was teaching you in the book of Luke, the one that was teaching you in the book of Mark. That rabbi that was comparing things, that was showing a girl about to get stoned by a village when the whole village was full of adulterers. She was the one being manipulated by him. Oh, they're married, manipulating her. And he came in to be the savior of her. So when you start getting into those teachings and understanding what that means and gain your perspective on that, then you'll get your revelation and you can tap into the greater he. But when you're not, when you're keeping them up, hung like a piece of meat on a cord that wasn't even him, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, but you better pay 10%. You gonna do that?
I think that being someone who grew up understanding, I went to Catholic school when I was a kid. I went to church on Sundays and stuff like that. Not every Sunday, of course. I'm from the hood. I ain't gonna act like I'm holier than thou. I'm super fallible, so I know good and well I'm not 100% like in their realm. What the Christians and the Catholics, the people that cast the stones. Ironically, isn't one of the greatest teachings, don't cast, he who cast the first stone be without sin. And all Christians and people in that follow Roman Catholicism cast judgment upon everybody. You don't go to church every Sunday, you ain't a real Christian. I'm like, of course. Because going to church every Sunday is what makes a real Christian. Then I'm not gonna talk shit about the church. Church is a great place for the people that use the church to be able to find their balance and find their direction towards the light. I'm not going to disrespect it, demean what Absolutely. It is. But I definitely think there is a lot of double talk within that community. You didn't. Thank you, E. They're the biggest. They are a lot of people that claim to be religious are some of the biggest hypocrites. And it is not that's not an opinion. That's a fact. Don't think they're the biggest hypocrites. What's a crime a priest is usually accused of and goes down for? How many priests have been accused of a crime? Oh, Gene. Oh.
Preach, Gina. Preach,
Yeah,
Gina.
she didn't have to do that.
Yes, she did.
Didn't have to do that. She didn't have
Yes,
to.
she did.
Yeah.
Look at the people of
Christians
God
feel
using the
attacked at the
Bible.
moment.
Tax collector, prostitute. You're absolutely right. God used the heathens. In every single way to deliver to people, used the heathens that were getting judged on. So remember that. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You know, and I'm with you, Justice. It's very much like the days of Jesus. Like Jesus was a part of that religion. His followers were a part of that religion. The rabbis that had him clipped, you know, or wanted him gone, he wanted that teaching out of there because it was hurting their pockets, really. You know, they were under the same umbrella of religion. It was just one was controlling and judgmental and unfair and sexist and everything else, and one gave a different perspective of the same law and teaching, and it made much more sense in equality. And that was your savior, Jesus, and that was against the rabbi. And Jesus was rabbi. They called him rabbi. So, you know, y'all made him Christian. They called him rabbi. So, you know what I mean? So exactly, Gina, God is love. And you know what I mean? But it was all cloaked in, and it goes right back to what Just said. You know, my enlightening started getting back into the church, you know what I mean? And then when I started having issues with the doctrine, because, you know, I'm a bibliophile, right? Is that what we learned today? The word bibliophile. I'm a lover of books, and I love to read, and I love to learn about what I'm interested in, not bullshit school, you know what I mean? But, you know, then there's certain things I start to question, and I realize that I found my light and understanding better on my own than having to sit there Sunday and kind of have it given to me all the time. I found that I did better studying on my own. And that's really what pulled me out. And then, you know, I mean, I just don't do communion anymore because that's gross. But Just is right. You know, church is I've seen a lot of people turn their lives around, you know, by finding their way in the good. Most of them is non-denominational churches, by the way, that I've seen people just do complete 180s. And, you know, really find themselves a good church home. It's really non-denominational. It's not as much as the regimented Methodist, Baptist, like, you know, with all the rules and shit. So a lot of people are going non-denomination, which is good because I think there's a little bit more freedom of expression there. But yeah, it's not, I mean, I don't blast it. It's not, I just have a different evolved education and perception on it where I know the origins of it. And I believe it's more tied to, you know, spirituality. So I kind of lean on that side of the fence in terms of how I navigate through life, you know, in that good uplifting energy, as opposed to going to characters and you know, worshiping outwardly. You know, I think, you know, you'll find your Christ inside of you, which is a good thing because that's where he said he was going to be. And he's in your heart. So you always guard your heart and look at your heart chakra. Keep good shit in your heart, and then you'll get better day by day. But, you know, what we saw today was a clear shot to all religions, right? And, you know, the Christians, you know, are like, Jesus, that was more a shot towards, like I said, the Jews. The title of it released right before Passover, which is their holiest of holies. You know, they sit around and they read at the table and they do that like this. It's a big, you know, holiday, for lack of better words, for the Jewish culture, and that is the oldest origins of your God. Oh, I meant to mention it earlier. Jesus was also Elohim, so go look that up. That's what he was. So that's why, and he sits on the council. He sits on the council of elders. So Jesus was an Elohim. That is why he was a demigod, a God man. When you know what an Elohim is, then you know you'll get a better understanding of it. But that's why he was far more advanced in his understanding and his power than, you know, some of the common folk. He was an Elohim. But you know what I mean? It was a direct shot at the Jews, you know, in mockery of the Jews through the title of it. You know what I mean? Not so much, you know, everybody equates Satan to Bible and him versus Jesus. And, you know, that's not where the beef started, brother. So, you know, you gotta go back. But that was a complete shot at the Jews, and it dropped right at Passover. And you know, it's you know, like Just said, you know, you'll cancel Dr. Seuss, you'll cancel Pepe Le Pew, you'll say a song called Wet Ass Panani is women empowerment, okay? And this is an expression of a man that was tied down and being judged. And that's where a lot of minds are right now. And a lot of minds are compromised. But make no mistake, you know, the agenda that was set forth that Candace Owens always talks about, y'all knock her, but, you know, you'll make Megan Thee Stallion the person with a degree from St. Mary's School of the Blind. And, you know, you place her on this pedestal of woman empowerment while she's singing songs WAP that your daughters and something like you're gonna listen to, and somehow you like that's artistry to you. You know what I mean? But when somebody's telling you that they are starting to attack the black families in the 1960s, and this is where we're at now, and these are the legislations that did it, and this is the agenda that did it, and now you're to a point now where you have one of the young black male portraying himself to be Eve in the goddamn Garden of Eden, then portraying himself to be Samson, then slides down, leaves heaven, slides down a stripper pole, and goes lap dances on Satan in an anal position. And y'all are calling that artistry. I don't know where to go with that, but you know, it is what it is, and some people are going to see it, and hopefully they'll combat it. I wish I would have seen more from the churches, outraged. I wish I'd have seen more pastors marching, outraged at this. But apparently not. Matter of fact, I don't know about you on your page. I didn't see not a one. I saw some services stream, but I never saw not a one. But you know, they'll get up there and talk about Auntie Maxine and everybody else of the idols when they're doing good. So we'll see. But you know, I was shocked. I thought those soldiers in the army of the Lord were going to be pretty outspoken on this one, and they seem pretty quiet. So I guess the heathens got to do it again. Well, that's where we're at.
We're kind of there because it's been a lot of yeah,
facts.
Definitely a lot of fake pastors. That's facts on everything, man. You got all these fake and fraudulent people, and
they might not know.
Briefly,
stop.
I'm explaining so briefly. We trying to clean up the areas within what we deem as our community or ecosystem. We're trying to clean that up better so that these things aren't promoted in a negative thing. If do I think they keep it with that kind of thing? If they keep it with the collection plate being passed around, they definitely keeping up with what's going on in the world, because culture drives everything. Money is the root of it all, and without money, there's no reason for them. And yes, it's through funding, it's through a whole bunch of other things they do. They do keep up with it. It's just the fact that whether or not they want to speak on it is up to them. Because then again, you know, you don't want to piss anybody off. Everybody's walking on eggshells. You know, there's Land O'Lakes butter that doesn't have a person of indigenous, you know, that doesn't look indigenous on the box anymore. So a pastor says something too negative.
He was a $5 Indian anyway on the box, but yeah. Go look that up.
But it's not. It's like we trying to clean that up for people that thump the Bible and all the people that want to question why when people don't want to indulge in a religious thing. How about you clean up that stuff? How about you take a stand and say, I don't agree with everything that goes on. I think they have bastardized the religion. I think they have used it for their own gain. But the teachings that the Bible taught me did enough for me to keep me in a path when I was in a dark place. If maybe 40% of the Christians did that, then maybe we could get somewhere where everybody could be okay. I could walk with that. But the fact that every time somebody comes out against the Bible or against what they teach, because we find a contradiction. Unfortunately, the way things work, if they lied about one thing, they could have lied about a bunch of other shit. Oh, that's just a misconception. You know, no, it doesn't work that way. If they lied about one thing, they can lie about a bunch of different shit. That's kind of how it works. So, instead of fighting us on it, when we point out a contradiction, explain to us why that contradiction, it doesn't make that big of a deal, or just acknowledge that it's a contradiction and we can move on. You can't, the whole book can't be right. That's what we're trying to tell you. The whole book can't be right. At some point in time, there's going to be something in it that was either wrong, it was mistold, or it's not as, you know, ethical as you want to make it out to be. Can't live and die with that book. I'm sorry. You know, I grew up Catholic, so I'm trying to tell you, you can't live and die with that book. Some of the shit in there don't make no sense. All it does is program your subconscious. That's it. Right? So I just want people to understand that. So what we're doing is we're drawing a line, basically telling people we want to clean this part up. We're doing our part. Christians, Catholics, you know, moderate, progressive Christians, or whatever you want to call yourself. Clean your shit up. Clean your area up. Shit is terrible. Yeah. You're out here trying to tell people that they don't appreciate the Sabbath and stuff like that. Trying to tell people we don't appreciate the Lord, we don't appreciate God and all that shit. We don't want to hear that, man. You appreciate God, but then when you in the sign of demonization, the sign of satanic, and the sign of the church being infiltrated, because now there's progressive Christians who now one of the main things in the Bible it says homosexuality is a sin, but then you have homosexual pastors, you have priests that have been accused and been exposed for dealing with children and basically molesting. Like that, you guys did that. That we can't act like that didn't happen. That's happened. So unless you're gonna clean your situation up, please don't come to people with the "you guys aren't real Christians." Spirituality is the guise of evil. Don't come on, stay away from us with that. We ain't knocking you, thumping your Bible, getting on your knees at an altar and stuff like that, drinking the body and blood or something, which is a ritual. No other way to say it is it's a ritual. To sit in a dimly lit room and worship one direction where you look at an altar and bow your head. Yeah, that's not a ritual. That's not evil at all. That's totally on the up and up. Like, miss me with that, man. Miss me with that. And anybody that knows me know I know the Bible pretty well. I know all these books pretty well. So it's not like I don't know the Bible or I don't know God or all that shit. It's just me telling you, it ain't on the up and up. Because if you ever see what some of these spirit cooking and ritual parties or some of these satanic, people that are openly satanic about, it's pretty similar to a Sunday service and mass. No disrespect to people that take the church seriously. It's just me saying, on your knees, bow your head at an altar or idol and look in that direction. It just doesn't, like I said, like if you can't draw any parallel with that, you just being blind on purpose,
That was, I think what's happening now, what kind of keeps people in that realm of religion is they don't want to disrespect grandmom's, religion, you know what I mean, or great grandma's religion, or the church that was built in the community, and that's well and good, you know what I mean, but everybody has to spread their own wings and fly within their own era, and not get so caught up in a pyramid scheme called family, you know what I mean, and there is tradition, and then there's how you're obligated to grow spiritually. Okay, tradition is having pasta every Sunday. Tradition is something you do collectively as a family. It's a family tradition. We go to the shore every July, 4th of July weekend. Something that you keep up for, and you hope that all generations, all eras of everybody would come. In terms of your own spiritual journey, that's a covenant between you and the Almighty. Let me repeat. That is a covenant between you and the Almighty. When you die and your spacesuit, your avatar, right? This is the suit you need to exist on Earth. When that goes in the ground and you walk and go face the Almighty, everybody's opinion of how you live your life, null and void. How much money you made, don't matter. You talk to the King of Kings, really? How much you acquired, how much? None of that matters. It was on your spiritual journey while you was down there. When you come back, are you a better prepared to be a citizen of this kingdom where we don't tolerate the bullshit? That's what it is. Did you become a better person today than you were yesterday? Is your goal to become a better person tomorrow than you are right now in this minute? How do you do that? Do you cut some cords off of people that's been around in a while because it's comfort? Do you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to check my ego. I'm not going to live this way. I'm going to start walking. Whatever it is you need to do to clear your mind. Are you evolving to better yourself tomorrow to be a better version of what you are in this moment today? That is what that dialogue will be about. And so if you're living your life under people's opinions, if you're living your life with the expectation of how you should do things, you're living life with expectations of what you should stay hunkered down in because of how it would look. That conversation and whether that's right or wrong is above my pay grade. But I can tell you exactly what I told you. And so if liberating yourself to your greatest height of positive energy and positivity and uncalcified mind, clear mind, is to get out of what it is you're in, despite what the other people's negative reactions or negative, lens on you will be. Oh, well, they don't come with you to the Almighty when you die to talk about how you live life. That judgment is none of theirs. So you have to think like that, and don't get caught up in the pyramid scheme of family. Now, I always say my generation had a much harder exposure to life than the prior generation to me, and the ones that made it out, we're more eligible to speak on certain issues, okay, as opposed to always sometimes bowing down, to words of wisdom because it's coming from an older voice, or there might be longevity there. If the trek was in an easier terrain, then I'm not sure, the measurement of qualifications to be speaking on, the knowledge of something is really, appropriate at that time or really accurate. If I walk the harder walk, then I can explain the walk a little bit better, period. You know what I mean? And you can't get caught up in the pyramid scheme where you lose your voice, where you lose your opinion, because you done been through some shit. When you're dealing with matters of family and it's and you're an adult, it's like people that are depressed and anxious over it is because they've been through some shit. They've been through, whether it be divorce, some shit. The family probably don't know half of it. They've been through some shit and they want to speak on it so much, but they know they'll be shunned or placed back in that realm of tradition and judgment and all that, and they don't want to go through it. So they stay, hunkered in depression and anxiety or living to the expectations of other people instead of growing within themselves. That's the issue. You can still honor the wisdom of the elders by asking them, what do I do in this? The real shit, not how do I get out of debt, things like that. I'm having issues with love. What do I do this? And you sit and talk to, I always say when you get to a family reunion, you should always place the elders kind of in a circle or put them in front and then have everybody just come around, let them tell stories of the old days. Just have them tell stories of how it was growing up. What did they do at cookouts? How was great aunt so-and-so? What did the community look like? Have them tell them stories so the kids can hear it, so you can, get refurbished on the understanding of it. And it kind of just brings you back to that place of tradition where the pyramid now is correct. It's the wise speaking and teaching, because that's how it was. And that's really how family should be. But when it comes to, the qualifications and the eligibility of, who's really, primed to be giving out opinions of the head of the table is those who have walked that harder walk and have come out, to tell a story about it, period. And I always say, my generation had a much, much harder. You've heard me say it a million times. My generation started, came right out after the crime bill. So the music now is going to hustle and drugs. It's going to effing bitches and girls and this and that, and telling girls to sexualize their man and rappers are singing about it. Girls are doing it. Their generation was sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I got the month of May. Okay, their generation was ooh baby baby Smokey Robinson, love making, like you just wanted to have a girl when you heard the song. You just wanted to find a girl just so you could play that song to her. That's not what we had. Not even in R&B. It's not what we had, and we had to go out in a new atmosphere where there's hot tub sex now on music television. It ain't Soul Train with people dancing with afros and shit. It's hot tub sex on Real World. There's spring break in Florida with everybody wearing thongs and stuff. And it was very, very becoming very sexualized. And on top of that, you have the criminal element that's becoming attractive in terms of drug distribution, how you can recycle money back into it, being glorified by rappers. We just had much, 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 much more infiltrated on my mind. So the ones that stayed moral, the ones that even slipped, fell, and got back up and got themselves, were able to raise family, were able to raise kids, were able to do all that. They're the voices. They're the voices that can teach the game to the younger. They can see when they know it all. They know the terrain. The terrain was much harder, and they know it because they got out, and they are more qualified. They may have loved and lost. They may have been married, didn't last 50 years like grandma, but it was okay for them to get out of something and start new. Take the first step on the unseen staircase. That's much easier. So, you know, sometimes you got to respect what you've been through. You got to respect what you came out of. You got to respect your journey and stop turning to people that had an easier journey, an easier walk, just because that mentality is there to control. That's just it. And make family what it used to be. And you pay homage to the wisdom of the elders and the wisdom of the ones that went ahead, and have them, you know, memorialize some of those good stories about family. But your journey in life, when you're between your four walls, going out to work in the morning, family ain't there. They're not there. They ain't there when you come home. So, you know, you got to do you, boo-boo. And start, you know, start being grown-ups and stop listening to everybody. That's why you listen to the news and everybody else. Now everybody tell you what to do because you ain't got your big draws on. Put your big draws on, folks.
It's a never-ending cycle of bowing to authority and looking for direction, and that's the problem. Stop looking for direction. The people that preceded us can't give us anything. They, no disrespect to these prior generations. I ain't gonna violate too much, but I'm gonna just let y'all know y'all ain't do too much. Y'all ain't really set us up for no success either way. You know, we ain't gonna talk about all that. Y'all set us up y'all very poorly set us up. Y'all very poorly executed what y'all were supposed to do. Y'all did very poor protection skills. By, oh, well, we made sure that you never had any. Well, you know, you gave me vaccines. Did you ever research what was in it? Did you ever research why some of those things? Did you ever think to a second why those things didn't work for us or anything like that? But all the evidence of them purposely trying to compromise the cells within people, all humans, but specifically for this point of the topic, Black and brown people. I don't really like getting into all that race shit, but y'all did a poor job. Stay out the way. You fucked it up. We're here to fix it. While we fix it, stay out of the way.
Or work with us. But
I wouldn't want their help. I wouldn't want them working with us. They wouldn't know what to do. Give them, you sit them down. Hey, what do you need me to do? Google the ingredients of this for me. What's a Google? And then that's when I don't need your help. Stay out the way. Like, make some of that mac and cheese you guys know how to make and stuff like that. Just do that and stay out the way. Let us take care of the business in the war. This is war. This isn't you being able to help us do anything. This isn't a bake sale. This is war. And in war, you have to understand the enemies come to you with a smile. When that's how people are infiltrated. Hands are often hidden, and you can't see that. So this is war. So understand where we're coming from, and yeah.
You know, there was a scene. There was a scene in when they talk about the Dream Team with Michael, Magic, and Larry, and after the Barcelona scrimmage, you know, where Mike went off, you know, and they said Michael, and I'm sorry, Magic and Larry were sitting there, and Michael walked by and said, "Well, there's a new sheriff in town." You know, and Magic and Larry said he ain't lying, and that's essentially where we're at. You know, there's some new sheriffs in town, and we see it. We see what's going on, and the old guard that used to control and pacify is going to be moved out, whether you like it or not. And I'm talking about within the community. I'm not talking politics or anything like that. I'm talking about within the community. And it's on the rise, and the revolution will not be televised at all, but it is on the rise, and it is more enlightened brothers and sisters that are in the movement and sharing perspectives. Now we come out here on this platform. Now we're talking outwardly, but when we're inwardly, we're building with people. And that old guard of control and the telling of who to do and what to vote and when to shit and when to put a mask on and when. There's some new sheriffs in town. And
yeah, come wake up early Sunday morning, put this uncomfortable ass outfit on, sit in this fucking pew and listen to all this shit that doesn't directly affect you, that you probably don't believe in, but because we don't want people to talk about us in the community like we don't take church seriously, we gonna make you come around here, parade you around as something that we can be proud of, because we can't be proud of ourselves because we didn't accomplish shit when we were your age. We didn't accomplish shit when we were adults. We need to say, well, I failed at everything else. I'm at least going to be upstanding, respectable parent that forces their kid to do shit. Yeah. Like I said, no disrespect. You guys did the best you could with what you had. Really didn't do the best, but as best as you could do, stay the fuck out the way. That's all. I don't even want help. I want stay out the way. Stay out the way.
I can tell you this, and I told you a million times. I can name every single one of my mother's generation, that her cousins and all that, so that would be that generation, that line. And I can tell you every single one of them came from a 2-parent household. Every single one of them had great grandmom and great grand. They came from a 2-parent household of longevity in marriage and everything else like that. And then the lineup had we got lined up in the 60s and 70s and crack and everything and partying and crack and all this came up. And when you got down to our generations, that you had the rise of single motherhood, and which I was a part of, and a lot of the majority of my boys were a part of, and that is a significant difference. You go ask my kids. Matter of fact, ask the mother of my kids. Would it be different if she was doing it alone, or it was different if she had the male there to help her out? Ask my kids. So I tell you that along with them having the sunshine and the cloudy day in their songs and all that, they also came. The majority of them came from 2-parent households. We were the first ones that started seeing, the fatherless homes throughout the community, for whatever reason it is. And so that is another reason why, if we made it out. And like I said, the journey through our terrain was a little bit tougher. And even if we're still trying to figure shit out, don't judge me, don't look down, and don't talk shit, because you wouldn't have been able to walk a mile in my shoes, considering that spoiled 2-parent stuff that you were in, and considering what we were thrusting in. And that's of no disrespect, that's just real. And if you can't handle real, then something wrong, because
this ain't the content for you to be watching. We're gonna be going in on a few different things. Our content is usually light, it's usually lighthearted on Sundays. Monday we usually build and make it a bit more understanding for people. But if you can't deal with it, please don't tune in, because a lot of y'all are going to be held accountable like I wasn't held accountable and I should have been. And I don't speak for myself. My experiences aren't what I speak on. I speak on the experiences for the people who came to me, because they didn't feel like they had anybody that understood it. And me being one of the few people that understood what they went through, just because I don't have shared experiences, that's not the problem. The problem is I can visualize and see what people go through, even if it ain't my own story. So understand, we holding y'all accountable. Y'all fucked up, and y'all pretty spoiled and had it really handed to y'all. And to have y'all have the life that y'all had come up so balanced and easy, and then to give the people behind y'all the most imbalanced and non-fruitful version of like what you think life's supposed to be. You gave them more gadgets and more things to use. You didn't give them any balance, and that's a big deal. Understand what a parent's job is, to provide the balance that these kids understand when they're going out into the world. The world's beating them down. That they have the right people to help them build themselves back up, and how to build themselves back up. That what these things are said to you are not thoughts that you should pay mind to. So yeah, if you don't like the fact that what we're saying, just understand. It should have been said to you a long time ago.
Right. I don't think anybody, if they're taking it in the context of perspective and understanding from one generation to another, then they shouldn't be insulted. Nobody's saying you didn't do anything, you didn't bust your ass so people can make it and survive and grow. It's in terms of, I would say, it's like I said, the journey and the terrain. You know what I mean? There's so much you can do to shit. A prison can get somebody 3 hots in a cot. You know what I mean? So it's in terms of that preparation for when they get out into society and how they'll be able to evolve. You know what I mean? Out there, and how they'll be able to be better prepared for that. And it was just a much, much more difficult terrain than I think any of us really expected. The hardships, matter of fact, like here's a compliment to you if you understand where I'm coming from. The world was much more evil than growing up and being just around family. Like that was fun, that was cool. And then you get out there and you just really saw how evil it was, and it was very unprepared, but it was evolving right in front of all y'all. But because of everything was always, kids aren't allowed to know this, during that, you're just thrusted in it. And then, and once you're thrusted in, you're judged. But, one thing, my grandma, she passed away, you know what I mean? So, she's living her life in the ancestor realm now in 2018. But she used to always, one thing I did miss about the old black church back in the day was the old hymns. And, her favorite song was By and By. And, I always go back to the first verse of that where it says, and it's such is life. It says, we were often tossed and driven on the restless season time. Somber skies and howling tempests ought to see the bright sunshine. In that land of perfect day, when the mists have rolled away, we will understand it better by and by. And that's an old hymn. And I can break that down, but it just meant so much because such is life, and and through all this, you know, howling tempest and everything that's going on, day after day, after relationships conclude and you get a chance to look back on some and things like that, you do understand shit by and by. And we'll understand this period of time we're living in by and by. And we'll understand some of the times we messed up and you know, wasn't of sound mind or thinking right by and by. And we'll evolve. And that's the key to evolve. But you stay hunkered down in your shit, then that's what you're going to end up being. Period. And on that note, Just, it was a good show. We'll get ready for the build tomorrow night. We have a couple ideas.
Tomorrow?
Huh?
You know, we building on tomorrow?
I felt like we built tonight. You know, a couple people tossed me some ideas. I got cancel culture and where it begun. So I'm kind of tempted to do that because the person that wants to talk about it is a liberal. And I want to see if there's going to be some deflection as to where it originated, or if there's going to be some ownership of how it originated through the progressive liberal movement onto the socialist Marxist platform that you are on now. So I'm curious to see that. We may dance with that. We may dance with cancel culture tomorrow night. If anybody has ideas, always DM me and the humble one. As always, on that note, how we do it.
Take care, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in. And until next time.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And cancel the culture a little, Nas.